Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 13 of season 4 of Arrow called Sins of the Father. And, well, that's about as appropriate a name for this episode as you could ever ask for because, once again, fathers and their misdeeds is a big, big theme in this episode. So let's just kind of get right into it. Nothing particularly huge to say about the island flashbacks, just like, well, yeah, lady, are you an idiot? Of course he's just going to take the stupid rock from you. Why would he negotiate with you? You're in a cell. Yeah, so there's that. Now, in the modern day, we got a lot of cool stuff going on here. Let's kind of start small and work our way up. So Laurel, she has several nice moments in this episode. You know, her being friends with Nissa makes her, a good person to go out there and to go try and negotiate with her. And I like that they did play up with that. It's good to see that Laurel is being used well, given that she hasn't really had a huge amount to do since the whole Sarah coming back from the dead thing. And this, of course, leads to another confrontation between her and Nissa later on that's a lot less friendly. And, it does kind of look for a minute like Nissa might just go on and have to take Laurel on until Malcolm's guys come into the scene. Um, let's see what else. Nothing particularly huge to say about Dig this episode, but it does make sense that he does take the stance of, yeah, man, just effing kill Malcolm Merlin. Seriously. I mean, that makes total sense from Dig's perspective. Now, the Felicity subplot. I have to say, I like how they surprised us with Felicity's dad going like, "Yeah, hey, I'm the calculator. I know you're Overwatch, but let's try and restore the whole father-daughter relationship anyway." Um, Again, that is something that I did not expect, and kind of one of those things you think the show's going to dance around for a little while, and wait for a big reveal. Instead, they just like Calculator just comes out and admits it. This episode also kind of gave a moment for Donna to have a really nice character moment where she drops her usual perky and cheerful self and lays some Felicity some real harsh reality about just kind of what type of person her father is. And it's interesting that Donna makes the case that people don't change, while ultimately Oliver makes the case that while some people don't change, others do. And Oliver's a perfect example of that. I mean, look at him in the past. Only a few years ago, he was this useless, good for nothing party boy. And even when he came back to the city, he was this violent vigilante who murdered probably in the like double digits worth of people. Now Oliver is more of a straight up hero, albeit one who, as Malcolm Merlin points out, is prone to making a lot of really dumb decisions. I love that whole line, like, Oliver, you're a really good looking guy, but damn, are you stupid sometimes. That's just so wonderfully apt. And, John Barrowman just makes that into gold. But yeah. And, that is both. The thing about that is, though, that both Donna and Oliver are ultimately right. Although, I guess at the end of the day, I have to give it to Oliver that some people, no matter what, will never change. Other people, they do. And that's just how life is. I'm sure everybody can think of examples of both of them from their own lives. And, I really like how Felicity kind of puts it at the end. It's like, you know what? I wanted to believe in you so much. And then, of course, Noah Cutler is his real name. I guess Felicity kept her mom's name. Well, yeah, Donna Smoke, that's her name. I wonder how exactly that ended. I mean, was she born Felicity Cutler? Were the two of them never just properly married? But yeah, she has her dad arrested, and that's an interesting way of dealing with the situation, and kind of puts us in a place where okay, Calculator might have to strike some sort of a bargain, revealing who he's been working for, probably Hive, in order to get something out of the deal. Of course, there's always the possibility that Hive might just send somebody to kill him, but that would also be kind of interesting. Anyway, so there's that. Nothing really huge to say about Thea this episode. She was really more of a plot device than a character. Um, I really do like that conversation, though, that Oliver has with Felicity about his dad. You know, look, my dad was part of the undertaking. He did all this bad stuff, but he sacrificed himself by killing himself right in front of me in order to save my own life. Oliver conveniently forgets that before his father did that, his dad took the gun and killed the captain of the Queen's Gambit, who was also in that life raft with them. So his father committed a murder right in front of his son and then committed suicide. But hey, what does it matter about the captain, right? Forget that dude, he's not important. Yeah, I'm going to remember my dad for his brave sacrifice rather than the brutal and cold-hearted murder he committed right in front of my eyes. God, Oliver. I wonder if that captain had a family. He probably did. You're such a compassionate guy, Oliver. Anyway, the big thing this episode is Malcolm. In a lot of ways, it's really interesting to hit for him this episode. It is easy to believe that he's like, look, if I thought that giving up this League of Assassins leadership of the League of Assassins would save Thea's life, I'd do it. But this is jerking us around. And then when he's given proof of that, he's like, oh, well, okay, if I kill Nyssa and steal the cure at Lotus, I can save Thea and still get to be the leader of the League of Assassins, which is absolutely what Malcolm Merlyn would do. He's a guy who absolutely is going to want to try and have his cake and eat it too. And I do love the whole thing about how Oliver just has to flat out say to Nyssa, it's like, oh, you want me to kill Malcolm because you can't. And we've seen that. I mean, I have repeatedly pointed out that Nyssa isn't that great at fighting. I remember her first appearance. She more or less, the way I remember her first appearances in the show is, one looked like one was, I'll give her as a fairly decent win on Oliver. The next one being a tie. And then from there on out, every time they've fought, she's lost. And she's never been able to beat Malcolm Merlyn. And, I mean, this time, again, Dig takes her down with just like, it seems very cruel to say, but as an heir of Ra's al Ghul, this kind of sucks. So, and you have to imagine that Ra's probably picked up on this. This is like, oh god, my daughter's such a disappointment. Okay, I'm going to take this Oliver Queen guy. Nyssa, yeah, your job, broodmare. Now, I do like that Nyssa is cool with Oliver. She's still respectful to him, refers to him as husband. Apparently, Oliver was never able to work out how a divorce works in Nanda Parbat, but she's obviously doesn't have a problem with Oliver getting married to Felicity. She probably just sort of sees like, look, this is this whole husband thing. It's a matter of respect rather than any sort of real relationship. But she does take showing Oliver that respect seriously because, well, Oliver was none too keen on the whole marrying Nyssa thing either. So, yeah, it is nice that at least those two are in a place where, like, okay, we're cool with each other, except for the part that you have the cure for my sister who is dying and won't give it to me unless I murder her father. But hey, it's comics, right? It's comics. And I gotta say, this whole war between the League of Assassins, for guys who are shadowy, secretive assassins, open warfare in the streets seems like a really stupid way to do things. Granted, this isn't the first time they've done this, but the last time it was basically when they were helping take down Slade's army back in Season 2. The League of Assassins are surprisingly visible when it comes to Star City. And I did have to say, I like that whole thing where they're like, there's just these crazy dudes having this epic battle with bows in the middle of the street, and like some poor schmuck walking out of an alley gets killed, and there's like stuff blowing up. It's just like, damn, these guys really like bows and arrows. And I love how this all culminates in them having this big, showy duel on the roof of a building in the middle of frickin' downtown. And I'm just looking at this as like, wait a minute, how in the world, with all these buildings right around you with lights on and stuff? I mean, you can even see in the background a frickin' Hyatt Regency, presumably the one in Vancouver. And it's just like, how in the world are there not 100 people calling the cops right now while simultaneously filming this on their cell phones? And oh, by the way, Oliver, you're not doing anything to conceal your identity. And again, this is happening on a rooftop in the middle of downtown. I'm just like, how is there not like a traffic copter or something catching this, or some dude just dicking around with a drone or whatever? It's like, what the hell's that? Oh man, this is gonna be great YouTube. I'm gonna bring my this Christmas present in a little closer. It's like, hey, isn't that Oliver Queen and Malcolm Merlin, the guy who tried to destroy the city a couple of years ago? Oh, but probably not, because Malcolm Merlin has been walking around Starling City completely unnoticed by anyone for how many seasons now? I mean, remember that time when he and Oliver had that big meetup in public, and Malcolm's just like out there chilling, despite that was season 2, him having basically tried to destroy the city only a few months before, and nobody effing recognizes him. But anyway, definitely like that throwdown on the roof, and Oliver stepping in to fight in Nissa's place. That was really cool. I did not expect that, but it makes sense. And he of course whoops Malcolm's butt because Malcolm's more or less been sitting on his laurels for a long time, while Oliver has been beefing up his skills. I mean, you kind of look at this and like, Malcolm, you do realize that this guy honestly did kill the last Raishao Ghoul, who you yourself were scared shitless of. So maybe you should be taking this whole situation with Oliver a little bit more seriously. And you gotta love John Barrowman. I mean, the man clearly loves playing Malcolm Merlin and his role on the show because he just goes to town this episode. I mean, there was a picture somebody had posted from one of the stills where he's like, Malcolm is like in mid yell, his mouth is like, or something like that, and it's just like, oh man, John Barrowman's holding nothing back, and it is glorious. Man, and yeah, of course this leads to Malcolm getting his hand whacked off, which just leads him to going even more completely off the deep end crazy. And I love that whole bit at the end where it's just like, Oliver, death is too good for you after what you've done to me. It is, and then of course this leads him to selling out the existence of William to Damien Dark, which, mm, yeah. So it's kind of, I would say, it might actually really put Malcolm up there in a strong possibility for the person who ends up in that grave. Now, it really would seem strange that Oliver would, at this point, mourn Malcolm's death. But if Malcolm were to actually, in some way, sacrifice himself once again to save Thea, then, yeah, that would cause Thea some pain and leave Oliver wondering if, like, well, maybe if I'd tried a little bit harder, I could have gotten Malcolm to change. Probably wouldn't have been the case, but still. Although that really wouldn't make sense. It's very hard to imagine any sort of scenario in which Felicity would be upset over Malcolm's death. So, while I think we could probably put him on the board as a possibility, I'd say it's a pretty low one. I'm still betting on Quentin Lance. He's the one that makes the most sense in my book. And, anything else? Oh, yeah, and it was kind of cool to see Quentin again. Apparently, even though this show told us that Damien Dark by now should have figured out that Quentin had backstabbed him and was working with Team Arrow Dark has apparently not bothered to, in any way, shape, or form, seek retribution against Quentin, or Laurel, or Sarah, whom he knows is alive. Seriously, dude, what have you been doing? You know, there's just part of me that just imagines it's like Damien Dark has just been sort of like chilling in that little underground base playing Fallout 4, waiting for the latter part of the season to kick in so he can actually get off his ass and go out and do something. Okay, yeah, I think that covers everything that I had to say about this episode. So, guys, until next time, take care and have a good one. Of course, you can also follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi and join me on Tumblr at Jedi Reviewer.